with her. We got the photos.
Welcome to Screen Recaps, and today we are going to be recapping the movie Soul Catcher. Keel is a top-notch mercenary. One day he gets a mission from his bosses to lead his team to a small island to rescue Elizabeth, a woman kidnapped by a warlord, and get proof of the warlord's civilian massacres. Elizabeth is currently held prisoner in the warlord's base on the island. To avoid looking suspicious, Keel quietly gets on a fishing boat during the nighttime. However, when they arrive, he finds out that their guide has been brutally killed. Keel realizes the situation is serious and alerts his team to be very cautious. They sneak into the warlord's base, but eventually, the warlord's henchmen notice their presence. This starts a strong fight between the two sides. Soon enough, Keel finds the room where Elizabeth is held captive. However, Elizabeth is very watchful. In a tense moment, she takes one of Keel's teammates hostage. Only when Keel reveals who he is does Elizabeth let go of the hostage. She takes out evidence of the warlord's terrible actions from her clothes, an important memory card. With the memory card safe, Keel's team quickly leaves. An explosion far away leads to a group of frantic individuals rushing towards them, like persistent zombies. Battling these attackers, the team moves back, and they finally get to the coastline. There, they see a disturbing scene. The warlord activates a big machine that shoots blinding waves of light toward Keel's team. These white light waves make eerie sounds, and Elizabeth, sensing the danger, understands the machine's ominous importance. Interestingly, this machine was first made by Elizabeth's father, a professor. Keel looks at his team members and realizes they have indeed become zombies. Keel's attempts to talk to them don't work. The zombies' empty eyes only show a desire for violence. Keel manages to find a dagger and uses it to stop the teammate, ending the danger. Joining back with his remaining teammates, another teammate turned into a zombie comes closer. Together they shoot him down, a surprising sight for Keel. Afterward, he contacts help from above to quickly leave the island with the memory card. However, Elizabeth disagrees and doesn't want to go with Keel. She has a task she hasn't finished and thinks her job isn't done yet. With the memory card safe, Keel thinks about his mission being complete and understands Elizabeth's choice. In the end, Keel and his team leave the island by plane. While on the plane, Keel thinks a lot about the loss of his teammates. Soon, the plane lands at a private place for planes. Out of nowhere, a group of international law agents surrounds the plane, encircling Keel and taking him away to ask questions. It turns out that some of Keel's teammates are connected to an important killing of a senator. Facing questions from the international agents, Keel stays quiet. Right then, his boss Zaryba comes in forcefully and takes Keel away. Zaryba is the head of Poland's intelligence group. He takes Keel to a room where he talks more about the weapons and how Elizabeth was involved on the island. Elizabeth being on the island was an effort to convince her father, the professor who made the weapon, to stop making it. However, the warlord used his family's safety to make him turn it into a weapon. The dangerous thing called Soul Catcher is still with the warlord. Knowing the big danger it is, Zaryba gives Keel a new mission. Go back to the island, get the Soul Catcher, and destroy it to stop more problems. Since he lost his old team, Keel needs new members. He gets a few people who are motivated by money and friendship. The new team has a pilot who knows a lot, someone who's really good at aiming, a person who's skilled at sneaking in, a diplomat, and someone who's good with communication and explosives named John. With the team ready, Zaryba tells them about what's happening now. New information says the warlord wants to sell the Soul Catcher to an African warlord to make a lot of money. The warlord already moved the Soul Catcher to a place where they work on raw materials. Keel's team needs to get in, take the Soul Catcher, and stop the sale to prevent big problems. The team quickly gets on a helicopter and goes to the place where they work on raw materials. They get rid of guards nearby and take a truck. Keel is surprised to find Elisa tied up inside the truck. She explains that she let herself be caught so she could try to rescue her father, who's being held by the military at the base. Keel and James dress up like soldiers and drive the truck into the base with Elisa looking like their prisoner. The military uses Elisa to make her father work on the machine by holding her hostage. The professor does it, even though he doesn't want to. When the machine starts, it messes up the team's communication, so the sniper can't talk to them. They decide to act when they get a chance. Soon, the African warlord comes with the money. The military tells the professor to show the buyer what the Soul Catcher does. When they turn on the machine, the people in cages go crazy and turn into violent zombies. They attack each other and even a doctor the buyer sends in. The African warlord sees this and believes the soul catcher is powerful. After the deal is done, the warlord's people start packing up. Elizabeth and her father are still prisoners. Meanwhile, team member John puts explosives around the base's edge. But when he tries to talk to Keel, he sees that they can't talk anymore and waits without news. At the same time, Keel takes the professor to a secret room and gets rid of the guards. Keel tells the professor who he really is. The professor asks Keel to kill him because he doesn't want to be controlled by the military. He feels guilty for making a killing machine and begs Keel to save his daughter. Keel understands and decides to help the professor. At the same time, James also tells who he is, beats the warlord's helper, and saves Elizabeth. There's fighting everywhere in the base. Keel and the professor move toward a safe spot, but they're attacked a lot. James fights heroically in another place, showing his great shooting skills. The warlord is packing the soul catcher. He hears gunshots and quickly gets in his car to escape. Just then, Keel and the professor come out, and the warlord starts the soul catcher and aims it at them. Luckily, the professor steps in, moves Keel away, and shields him from the soul catcher's attack. Seeing a chance, the warlord took a box of money and drove away in a car. Keel quickly responded and led his team to follow. He used a motorcycle, caught up with the warlord's car, and jumped onto it. Inside the small front of the car, Keel fought with the old warlord, who was not as strong as him. Then something got in the way on the road, and the two cars crashed. At that moment, Keel jumped out of the car while the warlord didn't survive the crash. After getting the soul catcher, Keel took it to Poland that same night and gave it to Zariba. Even though Zariba recognized Keel's work, he didn't have good intentions. Instead of destroying the soul catcher like he should, Zariba wanted to keep it for himself. He wanted Keel to join his plans, but Keel strongly said no. Zariba then ordered his people to control Keel's team and took the professor. He was going to order them to kill Keel when the international law agents came back. They arrested Zariba for making illegal military moves. Zariba told his soldiers to fight the international agents, but they were losing. In the confusion, Keel punched a guard, took his weapon, and joined the fight. His team joined too, but one of them suddenly betrayed them and killed another team member. The international agents couldn't handle the mess that followed. During this serious fight, Keel found the leader of the law agents and told him what he thought. They realized they were kind of on the same side. While running away, Keel got hurt in the belly and passed out. When he woke up, he was in a hospital with a woman sniper looking after him. Keel asked about his friends and she sadly shook her head. Their team members died during the evacuation the night before. Meanwhile, Zariba was still free. He planned to become a senator, and when people opposed him, he used the soul catcher to get his way. He did whatever it took to stay popular and get support. Keel really needed to find a way to deal with this mean ruler. Luckily, Elizabeth had a special way to talk to her father. They got in touch fast and found out where the soul catcher was. It was in a faraway factory. That night, Keel went on a mission alone to get into the factory. He got rid of the guards in the control room, then found the room where the professor was kept. The soul catcher was right there, so Keel put explosives on it. They were attacked. In all the confusion, the professor pushed Keel away, got shot, and fell down. That's when Keel saw that John was on the other side with Cerebus Group. They started shooting at each other in the factory. Keel hid behind a machine while John moved carefully. When John got his gun ready, Keel fought hard and managed to turn the gun towards John and shoot him. Other soldiers heard the gunshot, got their weapons, and ran upstairs. The professor knew he didn't have much time left, so he did something big for Keel. When the doors opened, he pulled out a grenade and made it explode, killing everyone. Keel took John's walkie-talkie and talked to Zariba, telling him to stop his bad actions and destroy the soul catcher. But Zariba didn't care. He thought the soul catcher did what he wanted. And he hung up without knowing Keel had recorded everything and sent it to the international people in charge. He was okay with what happened to the soul catcher, whether it was broken or not. Then he stopped talking, not knowing Keel had recorded the conversation. Keel's team didn't leave him alone in a tough situation. James broke through and got into the factory from outside, saving Keel. In the end of the movie, the international people showed the recorded talk, making Zariba look bad, and making him run away, because people didn't like him anymore. But he didn't know that one of Keel's team took the driver's place in the car he escaped in. Zariba's future wasn't good, and he was going to be caught.